Herkese merhaba arkadaşlar, hoş geldiniz. Welcome everyone. Herkese iyi akşamlar. Dersimiz başlıyor. Okay, I see enough people in the chat. In the voice channel, I mean. Ben de iyiyim Engin, teşekkürler. And today, what's the plan? Bugün konu, plan nedir? This is one of the basic beginner topics, but I have realized we haven't done this, we didn't do this year. So better late than never, you know. It's still good to have this in our folder, in our archive. So the first part of the lesson will be for beginners, and the second part of the lesson is for the at least intermediate or advanced speakers, because we will see how to use to be in the basic sentences, and then we will learn the advanced forms, the other tricky forms with that. Okay, so let's go. In this lesson, the topic is to be, and for those who are not familiar with the term, when you use I am, when you talk about who you are, who you were in the past, or who you will be in the future, we use this verb, or we use this concept. That's a better way to say it. Or you can also talk about how your mood is, as in I am happy, I am sad, I am excited, I am scared, and so on. Or you can also talk about that in the past, like I was sad, or in the future I will be sad, and the other statements, all the other forms, I am, I was, I will be. Okay, that's all about it. That's what it all about is, but we will talk about the details, of course. So I will try to keep this very beginner friendly or very learner friendly. I will try to avoid all the linguistic terms. I will try to avoid the grammar. I will just try to make this easy to understand for everyone. So we have these main topics like what's to be, how does it work in Turkish, and how do we use it in different situations, and finally the advanced forms. So let's talk about what's to be verb, and you will need your thinking cap because it is tricky not only in Turkish but also in English. It's not a full verb. It has conjugations, but it has different appearances. It looks different in different tenses, in different forms. So in the most simple way, it's basically I am, or I was, or I will be. Like I was a student, you were a student, he, she was a student. Or with a different pronoun, we have we, for example, we were, we are, we will be. And of course, that's just the English structure. This is only to give you an idea what to expect. In the following slides, we will learn how to say these sentences in Turkish. Things will be a bit more detailed because, you know, Turkish is nothing like English. We have agglutination. In simple words, we have the suffixes attaching to words. We have different endings for each pronoun. So things will be complicated but not difficult. That's the difference. Complicated is because there are a lot of things to keep in mind, but once you get the hang of it, it will be very, very predictable because there will be a lot of consistency. Everything is based on rules. Once you get the rules, it will be like solving a puzzle. It will be easy. So let's move to this. And you can keep your thinking caps on because this subject is still different, a lot different for English speakers and other language speakers, of course. So what do we have here? Burada ne var? Burada birkaç tane önemli nokta var. There are a few important points to memorize. One of the first points is pronouns. The pronouns, also known as persons, yes, şahıs or zamir is what we call them. So for I, we have ben in Turkish, and for you, we have sen. For the he, she, it, we don't have a distinction between these pronouns. That's why I put them in the same line. We have just o. That's one of the ways Turkish is easier. It's just o, and then we have biz, then siz, and onlar. So these pronouns, these şahıs or zamirler, is what you need to remember. Şahıs or zamir is what they are called in English, in Turkish, the Turkish terms. And then tense markers. You know, a tense is basically like a time. Of course, there's still a lot of the details about that. I'm just keeping this very simple. It is basically roughly a time, and past, present, future. The three main tenses. Of course, there are more tenses, but we will talk about the three main ones. So past, we have the. We also have a mış, but there's a difference, of course, the or mış. But for that, if you don't know about the difference between the two past tenses in Turkish, you can read up on this. In simple ways, the is like things you have seen or heard yourself, like first-hand evidence, and mış is basically things that are reported to you from a different person. Like you don't see it yourself, you hear it from someone else. For this distinction, we have two different suffixes, and present. For tense markers, present is tricky, so I will just go with a dash like this, because as you will see in a bit, and for the present we don't have any suffixes with this to be verb, but other verbs, like there's aorist, there's continuous like r suffix yaparım, or er suffix yapıyorum, but we are talking about the to be verb, and to be verb has no present and future. Let's talk about this acak suffix. The acak suffix is the default suffix for the future. When you have a verb, you put acak. Of course, the uppercase letters indicate that it is two-way vowel harmony. It can also be ecek, acak or ecek, like yap, to do, yapacağım, I will do, gör, to see, göreceğim, I will see. And finally, the personal markers. As I used in my examples, like yapacağım, there's a ending. It's not only yapacak, it's yapacağım, ben yapacağım. So we have sometimes we have sın. I'm still keeping this for the to be verb conjugations with different tenses, with different verbs. Things can be different. And then he, she, it. There's no ending for he, she, it. It's one of the most easy pronouns. I like it. And biz. So biz is tricky. It is sometimes an is and sometimes a final, just like a K letter. That depends on the tense. We will explain and we will see the details, but for example, for the present, the ending for biz is is, but for the past, it's a K, like K ending. And you is simply sınız, and they nothing or lar. The thing also about they is sometimes it uses the o endings. They are like, you know, siblings. This is the singular one, this is the plural one. So sometimes the big brother goes to the smaller brother and uses same endings. but sometimes it uses its own ending. This is more like a personal preference. There's not that much importance. There are a set of rules to choose either singular or plural in certain cases, but you shouldn't really worry about that for now. You can either choose the lar or just the nothing ending. Okay? And yes, onlar is the abi, it's the big brother, and o is the younger brother. And they share their endings, how you will share your clothes with your siblings. So there are these rules of thumb. These are important. I don't want to overlook them. I don't want to skip them. There's this new term. It's called predicate. The predicate is, maybe we can call it the verb, but I feel like the language nerds will yell at me if I call it a verb, but it's something a little bit different than a verb, but we can just call it the part of the sentence that shows information about the sentence. Like in the Turkish way, when I say ben yapacağım, the yapacağım part is my predicate. It shows me information about the subject, like ben by the ending and then tense, yapacağım. And each predicate, each verb has to have a tense marker, and these pronouns, they have to, the keyword is have to, they have to have their tense markers and their own pronoun markers on the, on the tense, no, that's a typo on my part. The markers after the tense. Oh, after. On the predicates after the tense. So like verb stem, tense marker, pronoun marker. It goes in this order. So let's finally talk about to be verb in the present. I will go back a little quick, because as you can see, I didn't put any tense marker for present. Keep that in mind, because in the positive statements for present, like I am, you are, there are no endings. We don't use, at least we don't use any tense marker endings. We use only personal pronoun endings. Like you put two words together, ben, pronoun, and whatever you are, like student, me, student, then that's how you make a sentence, like I, student. Like, you know, how you, like, me, Tarzan, you, Jane, or like me, this, you, that. Just put things together and it becomes a sentence. But of course, the trick is having the, you know, personal markers. Sometimes you can drop the personal pronoun, like you don't have to say ben, you don't have to say sen, but you have to have the ending. Like, for example, in that Tarzan example, ben Tarzanım, you can drop ben and it becomes Tarzanım. It even becomes one word, as you can see, but the personal ending shows me I am the Tarzan. And sen Jane'sin, or simply when you drop sen, it becomes Jane'sin. And more examples from real life, like student, teacher. All of us are students here. Most of us are. So the word for student is öğrenci. And how do you say I am a student? Simply ben öğrenciyim. I am still using my personal pronoun. I'm still using my ben and then putting endings on öğrenci. Ben öğrenciyim. Yes, that's correct. Ben öğrenciyim. Okay, how about when, like, we are on Discord, sometimes people ask us about our genders. Like, so we are a girl, we are a boy. So ben I'm a male. Ben, the word for male is erkek. So how do you say I'm a male? I'm a man. So we still say our personal markers, and you can drop the pronouns, so you don't have to say ben. So erkeğim. With these examples, I try to show you the different conditions. Sometimes I put a Y letter, sometimes I change the letter, I soften it. You know, öğrenciyim or erkeğim. There are some different changes on the letters. And the rules are here on the screen, as you can see. You have to memorize them. I'm afraid there's no easy way. I try to color them to show or to make it more like visual, but while adding these personal endings, you have to memorize, or you have to remember the four-way vowel harmony. All of these are self-explanatory, like e goes to e and so on. You have to remember consonant softening, like with the erkek example. Erkek has k at the end. So when I say ben erkeğim, I use a soft G. And then buffer, öğrenci. There's E at the end, so I have a Y buffer. So examples are on the next slide. I will show you. You can still cheat from these notes and the personal markers at the top. So how do we fill in this? So if I go the word for arkadaş, oh wait, that won't make sense. Let's go with trying to think of something that fits to this. I think I will go with öğretmen. Öğretmen means teacher. So ben, so your sentence, how should it go? I have to choose, like it's ben, but I, öğretmen. So I have to choose this, but the things I have to keep in mind is the vowel harmony. So there's the last vowel is e. My table tells me e is e. So I have to choose im. Do I need the Y buffer? I don't think so, because öğretmen has N at the end. It's not a vowel. So I will simply choose öğretmenim. Actually, wait, let me delete this. Yeah, let's have more room. And you, sen. I want to say you are a teacher. So sen. So my ending for sen is sın, but of course it could be sin, sın, sun, sün. Which one do I have to choose? Again, there's a as the last letter, as the last vowel. Öğretmen. Öğretmensin. I have to use e after e. And for o, öğretmen. For biz, öğretmen. Checking my endings for biz, it's is. I still don't need the y because öğretmen always ends with an n. So after e, there's always e. Öğretmeniz. We are teachers, and you are öğretmensiniz. They are öğretmen or ler. Öğretmen or öğretmenler. Okay, so a different example that will show more explanation with the softening. Erkek can fit that, so I will use it. Erkek. Like this. Erkek. So I have to choose ending. Do I need the buffer? No, because there's k at the end. I really don't need it. But I have to soften my k, because after k there's an which is a vowel. So I have to choose this K into soft G. And it becomes erkeğim. Ben erkeğim. And sen erkek. So sın is what I need. I mean this part is what I need. Checking if there's a vowel. No, there's S. K and S, no softening is needed. So erkeksin. And then erkek, erkeğiz, erkeksiniz, erkekler. I hope the pattern is clear for the beginners, for new people. I will try to speed up this for the majority. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with this. Let's use an example that would have a vowel in it. So we can use this buffer. For example, my example from before, öğrenci, student. So this time I need this Y because it has E in it. It ends with a vowel. So if I type it without the Y, without the buffer, it will be two E's next to each other. It doesn't look nice, it doesn't sound nice. I have to separate them. Öğrenciyim, öğrencisin. This time I didn't use the buffer. Why? Because the buffer is only needed like with two vowels. With sin suffix, the se is already in the suffix. Like there's no E next to each other. That's what I don't need it. I don't need it always. I mostly need it with the first personals like I and we. Öğrenciyiz. Wait, not the here. Öğrenci and öğrenciyiz. Öğrencisiniz. Öğrenciler. Okay, this is how it goes. We just choose a personal marker and we like transform it, modify it based on these rules. So there's actually four options: im, sın, sin, sun, sün, ız, iz, uz, üz, sınız, siniz, sunuz, sunuz, and lar. And also the softening. Sometimes you have to change the soft G. Okay, are there any questions so far? I hope or I believe that's really the basics of it. Eğer sorusu olan yoksa diğerine geçebilirim. If there are no questions, I can move to the next one. So, negatives. Negatives are related. They are similar, but let me introduce you to a new word, değil. Maybe you have seen the negative conjugations with a different verb before, but with a noun, with a to be verb, we use this değil. It is simple, but the trick is moving the personal markers and tense markers. It's not only like by inserting değil, but also moving the markers. So I will bring the positives here. Oh. Öğretmenim, öğretmensin, öğretmen, öğretmeniz, öğretmensiniz, öğretmenler. Let's do this together. You can type in the chat. How do I say not a teacher? Like I'm not a teacher. Yes, öğretmen değilim. What I did here is inserting değil and also moving this im ending over here. Öğretmenim, öğretmen değilim. How about sen? You are not a teacher. Öğretmen değilsin. You are not a teacher. The pattern is the same. So it's always öğretmen değil, öğretmen değiliz, öğretmen değilsiniz, öğretmen değiller. You know, we will do more examples later, so I will delete these two tables. It's always moving the personal markers to değil. If it's im, you put im on değil. Değilim. I'm not. Öğretmensin, you are a teacher. Öğretmen değilsin, you are not a teacher. With these notes, it is important. Sometimes, based on this condition, having o in it, you may need but when you move the ending, don't move it directly. You have to change the ending based on the new vowel harmony, which is e. So becomes im here. This is important. Okay, and let's talk about that promised explanation, like why we have a why buffer and why we use olmak. They are related. The reason is they are different things. In simple ways, in the easiest words, the past tense and present tense use a different thing. The future tense, it uses a different thing. You can see in the title, imek versus olmak. In most of my lessons, in most of my explanations, I just call them olmak. I put them under one roof to keep them together. But just to explain this difference, just to, please the language nerds, there's a difference. And knowing about this difference helps you understand how things work, such as why there's why. That sounds funny. Like, it explains the why buffer and it explains the olmak. So far with the present and past, we used imek. It was actually ed. It was not just the. But the thing is, it is defective, as in we don't always use it. We can't always use it. It doesn't work in all tenses. It doesn't work in all forms. When we can't use it, we call the auxiliary verb olmak for help. You can also think about them like in a sibling relationship. Olmak is the big brother. When imek cannot handle the situation, we use olmak. Olmak comes and saves the conjugation. So yes, let's write these examples. So past and present forms. I will go with the past because it's the most evident. Like öğretmen. I have öğretmen here. My actual past tense suffix is ed. Actually, the past tense ed, not just d. And that's where I put the personal marker. But over time, languages are kind of living, like not sentient, but living things. They evolve over time. Things can change. And that's what happened with this form. Öğretmen idim became öğretmendim. Or let's talk about an example with like vowel at the end, i. So iyi idim, I was good. İyiydim. İyiydim evolved into iyiydim. So yeah, Soma, that's correct. Or mutlu idim, mutluydum. We are using this copula thing with the past tense, like the state of being, our beloved be verb. Mutlu idim. What else can we say? Maybe we can talk about the mış, like öğretmen imişim. So I was, öğretmenmişim. İyi imişsin. İyiymişsin. Okay? That's why there's a y in there. because that's like in the default form there is E in it, but that E later on changes to Y because we spell them together. And as in it is defective, it cannot be used in every forms. One of them is the future. The future tense cannot be used with this copula thing, with this imek thing. I think if you think about it, there's actually a explanation why we can't use it, because imek, or this like state of being, is talking about how you are or how you were. But when you say olacak, as I explained in previous notes, previous slides, like olmak changes your meaning and becomes like will become. Olmak is more like to become or to get. When you become something, when you will become something, like öğretmen olacağım, I will be a teacher or I will become a teacher. My state of being will change from present to being a teacher. This is why there are also two ways in the past tense. Like öğretmendim, there's also öğretmen oldum. Or iyiydim, iyi oldum. I want to write this down so it can stay here. This is also why there are two ways to talk about something in the past. Like iyiydim, this just means I was good. İyi oldum, I became good. Do you guys get the difference between these two? İyiydim, iyi oldum, I was good, I became good. In the second way, like there's more emphasis on the change of my state. I was not good, but I became good. But in the first one, there's no change. It's mostly I was good. I always use this example to, point out the difference clearly. Güzel din, you were beautiful. Güzel oldun, you became beautiful. Güzeldin, güzel oldun. You were beautiful, like you were always beautiful. I am talking about your state of being beautiful. But güzel oldun is about your transformation. Like you put on makeup, you got, plastic surgery, you were ugly before, yeah, you became beautiful. That's why these two forms are different. Or I remember this example from questions. Grip. Grip means flu. So griptim, in English you can't say I was flu. I was sick with flu. Grip oldum, I became flu. So like griptim is something you will say like, why didn't you come yesterday? Dün neden gelmedin? Hastaydım, grip oldum. I was sick, I got flu. I became flu. But grip oldum is something you will say to a person. Ben gelemem, grip oldum. I cannot come, I became sick. Okay? Okay. And about the question, why not Why olmadı but olmaydı? That's because the copula is not used in the future. The copula is used for to be things. Olmak is a regular verb. We use the copula with nouns or adjectives. We use imek with nouns or adjectives. And we use olmak with other verbs, other things. So actually, yes, Nemo's example explains it. I actually also want to have a difference here. So like just to visualize the difference. When do we use imek, the copula thing? I will have a few lists here. It is added to nouns, adjectives, and make a sentence with them. You know, when there's no verb, you use the imek and you make some like nouns or adjectives. You use noun and adjectives to make a sentence and add it to conjugations and makes advanced verbs, tenses. You know, you probably remember our advanced tenses like geliyordum. Maybe I can write examples. Geliyorum, geliyor idim, geliyordum. And this one here, like hasta idim, hastaydım. And the imek, yeah, it is used with nouns, adjectives, or with other verbs to make them advanced, like other conjugations, and can only be used in 4 forms. These are the only possible forms: the past tense, mış past tense, the conditional sa past tense, and sometimes the can adverbial. It can only be used with these forms, with these suffixes. Okay, and as for olmak, it is added to verbs. Wait, it is actually a verb itself. Let's say that used as a verb in the sentence and can be like conjugated in all forms. And let's say that when like imek can't be used, this is our alternative. The last point is important. With the advanced forms, that's what we will be using. Okay, so are there questions so far? I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. Yeah, Lila, exactly. I will talk about advanced forms. I will show you how imek turns into olmak when you change the structure of the sentence. Yes, like these examples. So, thank you everyone for joining. Geldiğiniz için teşekkürler. Tomorrow there will be homework as usual. I'm really glad about that, Lila. Bunu duyduğuma çok sevindim. Haftaya görüşürüz. Kendinize iyi bakın.